Hello! In Germany of the 1940s, many citizens were faced with a choice: to follow the state's ideology or to oppose it. The hardest choice was for ordinary guys from poor families who had no access to higher education. This story is about one of them. Friedrich suffers from poverty, but receives a chance to join the well-dressed students of the Napola Academy. The image of wealth and beauty captivates him, but very soon the flip side of this shining coin is revealed to him. 1942. Friedrich Valmer lives in Germany, works as a handyman, and practices boxing. One day, students from the elite National Political Academy, Napola, come to the gym. Friedrich puts up a fight against one of them and almost knocks out his opponent, who had lost his balance. But just before the final blow, the guy falls into a stupor and gets hit in the head himself. Heinrich Vogler, a teacher at the academy, invites him to the entrance exams and promises to help. Everyone but the coach is happy for the fellow.
Das ist die Elite. Wirklich? Klar, dann nehmen sie nur die Allerbesten.
In Napola, Friedrich's health and Nordic appearance are praised. He has a good chance of getting in, but his father is adamantly opposed to the fascist ideology. When the son protests, he even receives a slap in the face.
Machst es, weil ich es dir sage. Mit diesen Leuten haben wir nichts zu schaffen, hast du mich verstanden?
But Friedrich still dreams of becoming an elite soldier. Then, he would no longer have the need for money that a factory worker's family never had. He tells his younger brother about how good the gym and showers were at the academy. Because of poverty, the whole family takes a bath in the same water, and Friedrich sees no reason to take a bath after his father. Dad gives Friedrich an invitation to study as an apprentice, so that from next month, he can start working in the factory too. But his attempt to keep his son from returning to Napola is unsuccessful. Friedrich bids farewell to his brother and runs away from home at night. In the morning, his parents find a letter saying that the boy has forged his father's signature, which is necessary for admission. And if he tries to take his son back, Friedrich will report his father for his anti-fascist views. The man breaks Friedrich's bicycle in a rage. The boy hitchhikes to Allenstein Castle, where he will study. He sees the richest families in the country saying goodbye to their children, who will soon be his classmates. Vogler meets a boy, to whom Friedrich immediately reveals that he had forged his father's signature. The teacher doesn't mind at all, and introduces the boy to his roommate, Christoph Schneider. Christoph teaches the newcomer where the uniforms are, and how to keep the closet in order. Friedrich changes into his new high-quality clothes, which he is very happy about. Soon, the headmaster makes a welcoming speech.
Ob Bauern oder Fabrikantensohn, in dieser Schule seid ihr alle gleich.
Friedrich is pleased with what he hears and accepts all the rules and rituals with a smile on his face. After the meeting, Christoph introduces him to the rest of his roommates. William, aka Hefe, Jaden, and Ziggy. They seem friendly to the boy, and they start to share the ins and outs of the academy life. Christoph sells pictures of his beautiful sister, and William was only enrolled because his father supplies the academy with food. Then Jauher, a senior student, bursts into the room with an inspection. He treats Friedrich with prejudice and orders him to do 20 push-ups because the freshman's clothes are not folded perfectly in his closet. Coach Vogler notices it and stands up for the boy. Jauher obeys the senior, holding a grudge. Friedrich cannot fall asleep at night. He sees that the bed next to him is empty and tries to ask Christoph about it. The neighbor warns that it is strictly forbidden to talk during bedtime. The boy goes to the window, where he sees another student, Albrecht Stein, arriving at the academy. He and his father, Gauleiter Heinrich Stein, are greeted by the academy's top brass. It's the night's guest who eventually takes the last bed in the room. In the morning, Albrecht meets Friedrich and helps him make his bed to get to the exercises in time. The teenagers start developing a friendship. Physical training is supervised by Karl, a strict instructor. Jauher informs him that Ziggy had wet himself again during the night. The boy is forced to bring a mattress and pee on it in front of his classmates. The others are forced to perform heavy physical exercises until he does so. In the classroom, students are taught Nazi ideology, perversely interpreting Darwin's theory. Military training is also in full swing. At lunchtime, a priest walks around the premises, bringing the disappointed news of their relatives' deaths to the kids. The teachers treat their grief with sympathy and understanding. Friedrich arrives for his first one-on-one session with his trainer. Vogler is pleased, but the kid still has a lot to learn.
Vorne nur, wenn du im Vorteil bist. Dann aber so hart wie möglich und ohne Erbarmen, verstehst du? Diese Bereitschaft musst du haben.
He prepares his mentee for real fights, in which he will have to suppress everything that is human in him. Napola has many times been the boxing champion among the academies, but in the last few years, the title was awarded to others. The next competition will take place in winter. When Friedrich comes out, he sees Ziggy being bullied again. Now the boy is forced to stand in the middle of the yard with a mattress over his head. Vogler assures him that this is the only way to cure the boy of his affliction. Soon the students receive the packages from their families. In a letter from his mother, Friedrich learns that his father has been checked by the Gestapo and is now forced to work double shifts. His younger brother has been sent to the countryside and is doing well there. Albrecht, however, is upset about something. The boy explains to his friend that he is interested in literature and writes notes and poems. The boy sends them to his parents, and they always speak well of his talent. But this time, he put hairs in between the pages, which would fall out if the essays were flipped through at least once. Almost all of them remained in their places. Friedrich wants to support his comrade and promises to read his writings and give his honest opinion. In response, Albrecht invites his friend to go outside, where he shows him a window through which he can peep at the castle's female servants. They take turns enjoying the view and slip away unnoticed. The next months go great. Friedrich even gets a chance to fly a glider. He enjoys attending classes with his new friend, whose essays he likes. Friedrich praises the aspiring writer. His progress in boxing is excellent as well. In one training session, the student even knocks the trainer down with a punch to the jaw. It's Friedrich's first fight. Despite his opponent's dirty tricks, the boy counterattacks and forces the fighter to lean on the ropes. However, victory only counts when the opponent is knocked out, and Friedrich recalls his trainer's words. He mercilessly finishes off his opponent, who can no longer defend himself. The entire upper echelon of the academy, with the headmaster at the head, is present and congratulates the winner. Friedrich is overjoyed. A little later, he's approached by Albrecht, who believes that his last punch was unnecessary. Friedrich justifies his actions by saying that his opponent would have done exactly the same thing, but Albrecht, disappointed by his comrade's cruelty, walks away. Time passes, and Ziggy wets the bed at night again.
Jauher threatens to snitch on him again, but is willing to remain silent if he receives a bribe.
The sum turns out to be too much for a guy from a poor family. On the same day, the class holds a hands-on grenade throwing class. Everyone gets a real explosive weapon. Albrecht, who dreams of being a writer rather than a soldier, barely manages to throw the grenade. The student after him falls into a stupor and let the grenade fall on the ground. Instructor Carl runs out of the trench, leaving his students to die. At which point, Ziggy throws himself at the grenade. The blast doesn't leave him a chance to survive. For saving 20 of his comrades, Siegfried is posthumously awarded with a medal and buried with honors. Albrecht's father, who has visited the academy on such a special occasion, comes on stage.
Können wir in dieser Stunde nicht gebrauchen. Jetzt brauchen wir Jungs, die handeln. Jeder von euch dort unten.
The next day, the instructor Carl shows techniques for high jumping and points out the importance of strong abdominal muscles. The teacher wants to prove that he himself has rock-hard abs and asks the boxer Friedrich to test his strength. The boy hesitates, but then gathers all his anger at the cowardly and cruel trainer into a fist and hits him, making the man bend in half. Albrecht appreciates such courage and later invites Friedrich to the family estate for his father's birthday. They are taken to the posh mansion by car. Friedrich has never seen such wealth, but Albrecht notes that much of it is left over from the previous owners. His parents neglect their son and treat him very coldly.
Du bist ja immer dünner. Treibst auch genug Sport.
Doch, natürlich.
The boy tries to recite the poem he wrote to his father, but the drunken Gauleiter won't let him say a word. He is ashamed of his son, whom he considers not manly enough. The guests wants to humiliate him even more and takes Friedrich and Albrecht to the basement for a boxing match. The boys resist, but that doesn't bother the drunk man. Hurt, Albrecht gets angry and tries to make himself look better in his father's eyes, starting to throw real blows. Friedrich only dodges, but Albrecht demands to give him a real fight, and in the next moment, the boy is sent to the ground from a missed punch combination. The company, led by the birthday boy, embraces Friedrich and makes the teenager drink alcohol. Disappointed, Albrecht retreats to his room. In the morning, he holds a deep grudge against his friend and does not speak to him when they arrive at the academy. Winter arrives, and the academy's oldest class is sent to the war to help the German Air Force.
Sneaky Jauher also leaves the castle walls as part of the squadron.
One night, the students are taken out to an emergency briefing. The Gauleiter personally informs them that several Soviet prisoners of war have escaped, having stolen weapons and killed guards. The fugitives are hiding in the nearby woods, and the students are asked to help catch them. The teenagers are given combat weapons and taken out into the thicket. Soon, the squad of friends encounters a group of fleeing men. The cadets open fire to kill, but their victims turn out to be no more than unarmed teenagers, many of whom are even younger than they are. Albrecht pulls out bandages and tries to save a wounded kid. Friedrich too is shocked by the sight of the dying boy, who begs for help. The Gauleiter appears on the spot and orders Albrecht to step away from the bleeding teenager. The man finishes off the prisoner with a shot, despite his son's protests. He harshly reprimands the boy for disobeying and orders him to continue the operation. Albrecht cannot recover from the shock. He vomits.
Ich soll mich zusammenreißen? Wisst ihr eigentlich, was wir gerade getan haben?
He runs away, as he doesn't want to do the terrible things he is forced to commit. Friedrich is pestered by a classmate who wants to hear the details of the battle. The boy rudely pushes him away. He doesn't want to boast about the murders. Their fight is broken up by Vogler, who takes them both away in a truck. As they are driving away, Friedrich sees more captured prisoners being shot on the spot. Upon arrival, Vogler escorts the students to their cells, where they will serve their sentences for the next 24 hours. The next day, the class is given the task of writing an essay on the role of winter in German literature. At the end of the lesson, Albrecht is called to the blackboard. He describes the magical feelings the children have about the first snow and the anticipation of the Christmas holiday. But then he begins to talk about the events of last night. He thought they were going into the dark woods like fairy tale heroes to free the world from evil. In fact, that wasn't the case.
Doch als wir zurückkamen, da war mir klar geworden, dass ich selbst Teil des Bösen bin, vor dem ich die Welt immer bewahren wollte.
He declares that it's a disgrace to shoot prisoners, especially children, and reveals the deception of his father, who told him that fugitives were armed. Vogler interrupts the rebel's speech and escorts him out of the class. Heinrich Stein is summoned to the academy and meets with his son alone in the headmaster's office. The father demands that the boy rewrite his essay, this time describing the events more truthfully. Otherwise, the boy will be sent to the front line. Albrecht replies that he is not going to write anything else. He simply has no other words for this.
Ich kann keinen Aufsatz schreiben. Was ich geschrieben habe, das habe ich auch so gemeint.
Friedrich is released from his cell and learns what his friend has done. He finds him in the restroom, where Albrecht explains that he is in danger of being expelled. Friedrich does not understand why his friend is so unwilling to write what's needed and rectify the situation. Albrecht replies that he has no regrets about what he did and that it was the only way he could find his peace of mind. Friedrich accuses the boy of being selfish and pushes him. A scuffle ensues between them, which quickly ends in a hug and tears of grief. At the next training, the cadets are forced to dive into a frozen lake. The cadets hesitate before such a dangerous task, and Karl calls out Christoph first. The guy dives under the water and pulls the rope under the ice. Friedrich also manages to complete the task. Albrecht is the third to be called. He follows the rope, but stops halfway through. Friedrich, realizing what is happening, and in a panic tries to break the ice. Albrecht says goodbye to his friend through the frozen surface of the lake and goes to the bottom. Friedrich falls into the snow in a fit of despair. He is helped to his room, where he still cannot come to his senses, and trashes his dead friend's locker. Albrecht's parents receive the news of his death. Heinrich denies his role in their son's fate.
Einfach zu schwach.
Later, Friedrich writes an obituary for Albrecht and asks the principal to publish it in the school newspaper, but the man flatly refuses. According to him, only heroes who died for the cause of the nation are worthy of this, not people that kill themselves. He threatens Friedrich with an investigation into his involvement in what had happened, because Albrecht has changed drastically since he met his roommate. But the matter will be happily forgotten if Friedrich earns gold for the academy in the boxing tournament. The days of the fights are approaching, and Vogler sees that the students' attitude is still very low.
Friedrich, es ist furchtbar, was da im Wald passiert ist. Und auch der Tod von Albrecht ist für uns alle ein großer Verlust.
His opponent turns out to be the same boy after the fight with whom Friedrich was noticed by Vogler and invited to the academy. Friedrich gets into the ring, but misses powerful punches and gets clamped in the corner. He launches his trademark counterattack and catches his opponent off guard. As the referee counts down the seconds for the knockdown, the guy looks around and sees a crowd of senior academy officials applauding him. But this time, he's not happy with the picture. He's gotten to know each and every one of these people at their worst, and he doesn't seek their approval anymore. The last straw is the smile of the Gauleiter, who has forgotten his own son so quickly. Meanwhile, his opponent manages to rise from the floor, and Friedrich lowers his arms, exposing himself to his blows. He lets his opponent knock him out to wash a satisfied smirk off the scoundrels' faces. The next day, the Napola's headmaster summons the hapless boxer to his room and forces him to take off all his uniforms, including his underwear. Friedrich takes his belongings and a picture of Albrecht from his room. The boy is expelled and kicked out of the castle in his summer shorts, which he had worn when he was admitted here 6 months earlier. He is sent home along the winter road. In 1945, there were about 40 such academies all over Germany. Approximately 15,000 students studied there. When it was already obvious that the war was lost, all the cadets were thrown to the front line for the final battle. 1 out of every 2 students died. As always, look for the name of the movie in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments. If you were in Friedrich's shoes, do you think you'd be able to make the right choice? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like so that more awesome videos come out as often as possible.